Welcome back to Games and Gutenberg. The Spoopy Stream. For tonight, we are going through Omen Exitio Plague. Developed by Tiny Bull Studios, published by Tiny Bull Studios in 2 pieces. You can pick up a copy of this on Fanatical in the link below, the affiliate link below. Okay, now, Omen Exitio. It is Lovecraftian, indie, interactive fiction, story-rich, all those fun stuff. All those fun things. Let's make sure our settings are okay. Music, low, okay. I'm okay with this volume. Okay. Let's start it. The beginning of a journey. You are accompanied by the sounds of the rigging rustling in the wind and the swelling of the waves as you stroll along the ship's deck. Its rocking evokes a slight sense of nausea, the wood groaning faintly with your every step, as if something inside wanted to scream, but didn't quite have the energy. A journey. A long journey. Your ship is headed for Zanzibar. How long have you been at sea? You cannot even remember. The days follow one another, never changing. It feels like living in an endless haze, dazed and captured by the outline of those unknown waters. But all in all, you don't mind the feeling. After all, you are here to forget. Your name is Jack Huntington. You are a doctor, a researcher, or at least you were proud to call yourself one before your entire world crumbled around you. You have always fought to save people's lives, but now you face a different battle where you have to kill. Such is the irony of fate. You enlisted in order to escape from yourself and, above all else, from the pain. You look out to the sea, wondering whether this ship can carry you far enough. Reality seems suspended during sea travel. Time loses all meaning and extends infinitely, just like the blue expanse spread out before you. Day after day, you've been watching the horizon ahead bobbing up and down when... Jake, remind me again why we're here. It feels like all this water's wiped my memory clean. The voice belongs to Ed O'Bannon, a blonde Irish boy. Well, I messed up that accent. He can't be much older than 16, and just like every other evening, he's had a drop too much to drink. Yet he blames the long voyage for his memory lapses. What's all this? A notes character sheet? Of anything here? Okay, cool. Character sheet. This is my character sheet. Okay, these are my stats. Oh, okay, all right. I can actually increase my stats. Interesting. I'm from London. Well, my accent needs to be British then. I am a widower. Oh my. All right, back to the story. Oh, what's this? Map. There's a map, huh? Okay. Back to the story. Let's indulge. O'Bannon. I have no idea why they're sending us over to the Forsaken Island on the other side of the world, and let me tell you, I don't even care. All I know is that tomorrow we'll be there. At last. With these words, you leave Ed to his goddamned Irish drinking songs and head below deck. It's time to sleep. You're lying in your bunk and, just like every other night for the best part of a year, you're having a hard time falling asleep. You toss and turn in your sweat-soaked sheets until... Jake? Are you asleep? I have a feeling he's Italian. Yeah, he is. It's Ryan Vespucci, the man in the bunk next to yours. He's the assistant cook, hailing from Italy. Suddenly, you remember that tomorrow it's your turn in the ship's mess. What is it, Ryan? I left you a list of the provisions we need in the galley tomorrow. I wanted to talk to you about something else as well. I've been hearing of rumors among the soldiers, but maybe we should discuss the matter tomorrow. Good night, Jake. The dorm is filled with heavy breathing and the loud snoring of your companions. Apparently, everyone is sleeping soundly except for you. Turning over in your bed, you find the note Ryan left you under their pillow. Yeah, let's read it now. You light the candle you keep near the bed and read the whole note right away. The candlelight flickers in the dark and the words come to life and dance before your eyes, while your pupils get used to the faint light of the wavering flame. Jake, you think you joined the army to atone for your sins, but you're mistaken. You're not headed for Zanzibar by chance. What you will see over there will change your perspective so much that you will turn to your old profession once again. And during this journey, you will discover that you have a friend. You got a friend in me. No. Well, it's not Ryan's list. You wonder whether it's just an odd prank by your fellow soldiers, but it seems too clever for them. While considering several theories, you finally slip into slumber, gently rocked by the waves. I feel like I should have a British narrator, but that's okay. It won't be long until the landing, but this doesn't mean you can escape kitchen duty. Ryan hands you a bag of potatoes to peel, while he starts working on a bunch of carrots, slicing them with a skill and accuracy which is second to none. Better than anyone you've ever seen. Let's learn more about Ryan. How long have you been in the army? Not a long time, really, but longer than you, I'd bet. You're right, actually. This voyage is pretty much the entirety of my military career. Don't worry. Just stick with me and that Irish fool O'Bannon, and you'll see it's not too bad. Shouts coming from the deck interrupt your chatting. Land ahoy! You hurry up and carry out your tasks before landing. Zanzibar port is a racket. Sailors yell in a wide variety of accents while goods are unloaded onto the docks, piling up in small mountains of crates. You're on the deck, observing the slowly approaching shapes of Stone Town. Soon, at last, you will once again set foot on solid ground. Now, what's this map showing us? It's showing us Zanzibar, okay. Alright, what are my notes? Notes are about the people. Alright. No items, nothing else. Character sheet. Oh, I have 4. Right. Okay. Well, anyway, let's get back to the story. You're granted some free time, so you treat yourself to a stroll around town. You're walking along the quay when a beggar approaches you. The map got updated again? Nope, it did not. So why is it telling me it is? His rough, hooded tunic covers his face. He reeks and walks with a limp, leaning heavily on a stick. Even though you don't understand what he's saying, you understand from his gesture that he's asking for charity. Yeah, let's help this guy, why not? You hand out a coin to the beggar, and as he reaches out to grab it, you notice a tattoo on the inside of his wrist. You only get a glimpse of it, but it strikes you with its peculiarity. The simple shape reminds you of an eye. The beggar tries to get your attention and follows you. He grabs your shirt, forcing you to stop. He slips his hand into your pocket and then suddenly starts running. His apparent disability has gone, and he's no longer limping. Okay, what are these notes? Mysterious tattoo, Okay, character sheet. Okay, I got some more experience. I think I'm gonna chase this hooligan ruffian. Why did he fill me up? The beggar runs along the dock as nimbly as an acrobat. When two sailors carrying some bulky crates pop out in front of him, he vaults clear over them as easily as if he were stepping over them. The sailors stop to yell at him, dropping the crates and blocking your path. You ignore the men and go around the crates. You swerve right and sprint past the obstacles, ignoring the men and running straight towards the beggar. When the thief realizes you are still chasing him, he jumps onto one of the small boats moored in a row in the harbor. He hops effortlessly from one boat to the next in spite of their movement and quickly gets away. Okay, well, I mean, before we carry on, let's actually make sure that he actually stole something valuable. Not just, we felt him touch me somewhere and then assume. You check your pockets. The only thing missing is the strange message you found in place of Ryan's list. Why did that man steal it? Probably thought it was money. You're still confused about what just happened when Ryan approaches you on the dock. Jake, what the hell are you doing? Leave's over. We've been called to muster. You follow the half-Italian to the dock of your ship. The troop is examined and soon makes its way to headquarters. You march with the squadron you were assigned to, lost in your thoughts. You expected an entirely different welcome from Zanzibar. With sweat and blood. Wake up! Everyone on their feet, quick! You open one eye, followed by the other. You feel the slow swaying of the sea and that peculiar smell of the ship, something like unwashed bodies and acrid salt, which prickles your nostrils. But it is just for a moment, and within seconds, you're on your feet. It is Smith, the captain of the troop, who's yelling at you in the early morning. O'Bannon groans. He's still not up, and luckily the captain is unaware of it. The cries of Captain Smith could sink a battleship on their own. You help O'Bannon and get on his feet. Come on, O'Bannon. Stop dreaming about whiskey bottles and get a move on. I'm awake. Your Irish friend's whiny character reminds you of a child who doesn't want to go to school. Not even my mum was this annoying. O'Bannon mumbles some more incomprehensible words and, with considerable effort, he gets to his feet, wobbling. It seems he's still drunk from last night. You'd better keep an eye on him to prevent him from getting a severe scolding and a flagrant punishment. You are outside waiting for the training to start. Bannon is next to you, still sleepy. After weeks of travel, Smith fears you have all gone soft. Looking at the men in your row, the doubt seems to be entirely valid. You can see the disorientation and lack of sleep on their faces. The air is filled with sand and your boots sink into the mud. The view is desolate except for some isolated shacks. Smith is explaining the details of this morning's training with a cracked, rasping voice. You are distracted by the view. The weariness from the journey makes his speech hard to follow, and you end up missing parts of it. But you're sure you're not the only one. No one can get used to this new situation due to the brevity of the captain's speech. You hesitate for a moment, but Smith breaks the silence with an unyielding command shouted aloud. Come on, move, ladies, until you're well awake. Okay, so if we lead, we get +1 observation. We put ourselves at the head of the group and we want to control the pace. We help Ed. We get 1 speechcraft. We stay next to Abandon and try to help him. We save our energy. We get +1 medicine. We follow Ryan, who's running at a regular pace, and we don't want to get too tired too soon. And if we outrun, we get +1 fighting. So we surpass all the others, and we want to try to prove ourselves. What? Let's be helpful. Let's help Ed. Ed is a bit of a, you know, he's difficult, but maybe he's a kid, right? He's a kid, so let's just help him. O'Bannon limps at the back of the group. Ed, you'd better pull yourself together quickly or we'll be in trouble. Don't worry, Jake. If I don't collapse gasping for breath, this race will get rid of the hangover. Once you arrive at the training ground, you must crawl through mud and overcome several grueling obstacles. Climbing walls, barbed wire, and thick tires. This time, no one waits for Smith to start barking orders, and you all dive onto the ground for the next exercise. You take a breather to see how O'Bannon is getting along. In his current condition, you're worried he will end up sinking into the mud and suffocate. Your concerns turn out to be well-founded. You see O'Bannon trying to slip out to catch his breath. Unfortunately, he ends up lying down with his face right in the muck in the middle of the training path. O'Bannon! Keep doing that and I'll put you in isolation. Good job, Vespucci. Huntington, you need to work harder. Smith surely isn't generous with his encouragement. You try to clean yourself up as fast as possible. Your clothes are wet and heavy, not exactly ideal for your next task, climbing a palm tree as quickly as possible, picking a coconut, and climbing back down, preferably in one piece. You're just relaxed, where you start by breathing deeply, monitoring your heartbeat. You can do it cautiously, where you carefully try to climb the palm tree using the right footings. You try to do it quickly, using agility to get to the top as quickly as possible, or you could be selfless and say, Captain, O'Bannon is not feeling well. I ask permission to take care of him. Well, I feel like O'Bannon, I mean, so many choices, you know? But, we gotta, Captain's watching, he wants us to get this. Whatever, let's go selfless. I appreciate your comradeship, Huntington, but I want to see your coconut all the same. You nod, helping O'Bannon to sit on the ground, then carry out your task. You try not to show any annoyance or irritation towards Smith. You deliver the coconut and get back to your mate. It's time for the gun test. Smith examines you quickly with grave glances, while a soldier hands you a rifle. The task is simple. You need to hit the target. You could be thoughtful. You shoot your rifle, then encourage O'Bannon to imitate you, trying to be convincing. You could be disciplined, making sure you check every part of the rifle before shooting. You could be confident, shooting without overthinking. Or you could be calm. You're nervous, your hands are shaking, you try to relax before shooting. Let's be disciplined, let's make sure the rifle is okay. Before taking position, you carefully check the rifle for irregularities. Excellent, Huntington. You must always check your rifle before shooting. A jammed weapon in battle could mean death or blow up in your face. Alright, nice. Your shot hits very near the center of the target. Great shot, Huntington. After the shooting range, Smith takes you to a large, flat, dusty area. In front of you are a series of worn-out cannons. Smith wastes no time in pairing off the men to cooperate in both the maintenance and actual use of the cannons. He probably wants to test your teamwork skills. You find yourself paired with O'Bannon, who joyfully comes to you, stumbling a bit. You could be independent and you force O'Bannon to be quiet, you do everything yourself. No. You could watch and you could observe how everybody else works and you want to improve your technique, have a better result. Maybe. You carry out the task, trying to prevent O'Bannon from helping you too much. Or authoritarian. Pressure O'Bannon into helping you. I don't know, I feel like he would help anyway. I mean, O'Bannon's here. O'Bannon, he's kind of an adult, not quite an adult. Okay, experience. Okay, nice. Oh, I can't increase anything yet. We'll go back to story. Alright, well, let's try to manage O'Bannon. Maybe we should just watch. Let's see how others do it first so we don't blow ourselves up. You carefully watch the other pairs busy with their cannons. O'Bannon is too preoccupied with his headache to help you much. You mimic two skilled soldiers and, all in all, you manage to shoot decently. Smith is not satisfied at all and he sharply explains your next task. It's time to practice hand-to-hand combat. Naturally, you are paired with O'Bannon. You look at your partner assessing his state. He's still a bit dazed, but at least he's standing and seems a little more aware, so you get set to carry out the task. You could be cunning and distract O'Bannon. Or you could be responsive and you strike him to stun him without hurting him too much. Or you could be aggressive and you just wallop him. Just wallop him. You know, you attack without giving him any time to respond. Or you are a bit defensive and you block and dodge his blows. I don't know how ready he is. He seems dazed, so I don't know if he can actually hit and anything. O'Bannon hesitates for a few moments, then starts to hit you. You exchange some blows, then you manage to land a punch between his neck and shoulder. You have planned it well. O'Bannon falls to the ground, semi-conscious. Victory is yours. Smith stares at you for a couple of seconds, then he mumbles something, but he seems pleased. He orders you to get started on the next task. Once again, you are to practice hand-to-hand combat, but this time your opponent is Vespucci. You look at him, and he smiles. You both know he's stronger than you. You be careful, and you try to limit the damage, raising your hands to protect the most vulnerable body parts. Or you could analyze, trying to buy time in order to fight a fault in his guard. Or you could counterattack, try not to give him any time to attack you, you just go right for it. Or you're quick and you focus on dodging his blows. I think we should try to go Dark Souls. Analyze. You decide the best strategy is to observe Vespucci's technique. You take your time, you dodge and block his blows. You're getting tired and you feel pain where you've been hit, but your strategy pays off. You realize Vespucci's guard is full of openings. You hit him with a well-calibrated jab to the chin, knocking him down. As your comrade brushes the dust off his trousers, you hold out your hand with a smile. Ryan smiles back, takes your hand, and he gets up, congratulating you on the good fight. Smith continues relentlessly, shouting orders. You pick up all the equipment, the backpack and the training rifle. It seems that the captain wants you to be full of adrenaline for the combat simulation, so that you don't hold anything back. He forces you to run right through the jungle to reach your next destination. You glance at O'Bannon and notice his arms bleeding. Oh, let's help him. Wait, Ed, what happened there? You point at the trace of blood on his hand. O'Bannon shrugs to minimize his injury, and you answer with a smirk, gesturing at him to come towards you. Oh. No, I feel like if we medicate, we're gonna get smack from Smith, so... Just patch him up quickly and then go. I feel like I had to get infected though. Alright, sorry. You stop O'Bannon and without pleasantries, you lift his sleeve and check the wound. It's not too bad, but it may get infected here in the dirt, so you quickly clean it up and wrap it up with a handkerchief. When the training is over, you'll take better care of it. You and O'Bannon are the last to reach Captain Smith's prearranged spot, both panting and red-faced. You are welcomed by a barrage of insults, which Smith spits at you both with equal parts saliva and venom. The squadron moves on together, but without you, O'Bannon, and Vespucci. You fell behind to deal with your friend's wound, and the Italian wanted to assist you. He is always ready to help. Ed is immediately taken to the headquarters in order for his wound to be sutured. You wonder whether you should follow him and perform the task yourself, or leave him in the hands of another doctor and go on with the training. Let's go with him. You follow O'Bannon to... You follow O'Bannon to the shacks that the troops' headquarters are made up of. You navigate the movements of the men who carried your friend, and you move closer to suture the wound. Oh, let's go back to Smith. Training's not over yet. Now it's time for the last part of the training. Teamwork. The troop stops near an abandoned fortress, and the two groups are ordered to get into formation. One will attack the walls, and the other will handle the artillery, either bombarding the weak walls of the fort or providing cover for the frontline soldiers. Okay, well, do we attack or do we handle the artillery? I think we're more of a support. Let's do artillery. The orders are clear. You have to take the fort as quickly as possible while trying to limit the enemy's counterattack. And you must decide which strategy to use. Do you protect by hitting beyond the walls to offer cover for the men who are advancing, or do you attack and you hit the same point over and over again with the cannons in order to breach the wall? Well, as artillery, we are trying to protect them, were we not? Trying to limit the enemy's counterattack. Well, okay, let's just attack. These are intense moments filled with shouts, blasts, and dust. The simulated battle seems quite real. The day is coming to an end and the mock attack on the fort has been carried out. The men are all exhausted, yourself included. I'm proud of you all. Today, you made a real effort. Tomorrow, we could even go on the attack, but for now, it's time to rest and refresh ourselves. The day's light has almost disappeared below the horizon when your captain brings the soldiers back together. He has an important message for all the men. He has not yet started to talk. He's waiting for everyone to sit down, but you can feel some serious tension filling the air. The pro-British Sultan Hamad bin Tuwaini, ruler of Zanzibar, died on the day of your arrival on this island, and Khalid, an illegitimate ruler, has taken his place. An ultimatum has been sent to Khalid requesting that he abdicate peacefully. That ultimatum will expire tomorrow morning. Your squadron is lined up in the courtyard of the headquarters. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, but this time everyone is wide awake. You are ready to set off for the Sultan's palace. Looking around, you can see the anxiety on the faces of your fellow soldiers. The time given for the ultimatum is almost up. The British force is composed of various ships and around 1,000 men, but the Sultan's army should not be underestimated. Between his most loyal men and the soldiers subdued to his will, the prince has gathered a small army, certainly enough to propose a threat. The reason for Smith's urgency in training the men, with all those hours crawling in the mud and climbing palm trees, is now clear. He was figuring out how prepared his soldiers were, rather than just training the new recruits. Khalid's granted time has almost run out, and the Rear Admiral Harry Lawson, who was on board the St. George, notifies the men to stand by for the attack. You don't know him well, but you have heard he is intolerant of anyone who fights under any banner but his. It's General Lloyd Matthews who begins the attack, ordering his men to open fire upon the prince's palace. Well known for his extraordinary willpower and determination, Matthews has just one goal in his fight: unseat the usurper as quickly as possible. Even Smith seems intimidated by the figure of Zanzibar's Prime Minister, General Matthews, and nervously commands his troops to move forward to the palace. He wants a reconnaissance group to avoid ambushes and to look for the best point to strike. We could choose a dock and do some reconnaissance to the dock, or we could offer to assault the palace gardens. Or we could wait for further orders. Let's check out our character sheet first. Oh, we've got 12 points that we can use. I feel like maybe we could increase our agility just a little. Cool.
Alright, back to story. He wants recon. Let's recon. Let's reconnaissance the dock.
Sir, I'd like to volunteer and to go on a recon mission to the dock. Smith appreciates your initiative. After looking you straight in the eye for a few moments, he decides to put you in command of the operation and chooses a group of men who are going to follow you and take your orders. You lead your group, running close to the palace walls and sliding along like thin shadows in the daylight. You place yourselves near the shore, hiding behind the dunes, where your backs barely sink into the sand and your watchful eyes can have a view of the entire dock. All around you, the sound of the cannons echoes from the allied ships which are wiping out the opponents. Let's observe by leaning out of the sandy mound and check the situation. Success, nice. With a rapid glance, you realize most of the Sultan's artillery has been neutralized and the English ships have bombarded the shores, annihilating any resistance. Many locals are dead, and you watch as the injured are being carried away. In the distance, not far from the dock, you see the only enemy ship sinking, mirroring the situation on the land. The whole situation seems to favor the British Army, so you decide to retreat to the palace gardens. This way you can support your allies in the battle, which is almost at its climax. While you move forward, you meet your allies on their way back. They are euphoric, and when they see you, they flail their arms around with joy. The war for the Sultan's palace has turned out to be a surprisingly short-lived affair. After only 45 minutes of steady cannon fire, the British Army has forced the Sultan and his men to surrender. Despite the brevity of the battle, you are happy with yourself and how you managed to contribute to the victory. At the end of the fight, while he addresses the troops, Smith unexpectedly addresses you in front of the other men. Huntington, you did well in the battle. I didn't know you were a leader. Nice. Got 4 experience points. All right, we got 10 points that we can use. I mean, why not? We could round out, get some fighting. Boom, there we go. Okay, well, we can't undo that. Haha. You head towards the headquarters with your troop. You walk away from where the fight took place and turn to look at the Sultan's palace, which is still surrounded by smoke from the battle. The ruins collapse in upon themselves, causing clouds of sand and dirt, while you see the British ships in the distance peacefully sailing away in the background. You fell behind the rest of the troop, or now far ahead. You speed up to reach them when an elegantly dressed man approaches you on the street. The stranger takes his hat off in greeting and speaks to you with a German accent. Mr. Huntington, could I trouble you for a moment of your time? You are confused. You've never seen this man so far as you can recall. You stop on the street, staring at him without uttering a single word, while the crowd seems to distance itself from around you, as if they were trying to avoid the embarrassment of an uncertain situation. Finally, your mind manages to find a concrete answer, while your mysterious interlocutor waits with great patience, with his hat held to his chest. Let's be a little gracious here. Never know, he might blow you away. Pardon me, but do we know each other? Forgive my rudeness. My name is Maya. Nice to meet you in person, finally. He keeps smiling at you, barely bending his head in a sign of respect, as if he's waiting for your next query, which is not long in coming. The pleasure's mine, Mr. Mayor. May I ask how you know my name?
You see, Mr. Huntington, I am here on behalf of a group of people who deal with public health. The gentleman group I belong to is very interested in what happens around it and in the whole world. We know, of course, by reputation. What reputation? You are just one of the many doctors in London, and you're not even sure whether your neighbors would recognize you. Mayer's German accented speech stops the flow of your thoughts. I had hoped to talk to you, if you have time, of course. Alright. I am intrigued. Tell me more. Press 1, tell me more. You sit down in a bar along the street. The man orders 2 coffees while he watches you with a strange but friendly smile, unable to inspire trust. He raises his cup just a little, sipping his coffee and studying your every movement, making you uncomfortable. Please don't be so nervous. You make me feel like an executioner ready to cut your head. The man smiles, then he lowers his cup in front of him, leaning his elbow on the table. His hands meet in a tangle of fingers near his chin. He never stops staring at you, not even for a moment. We know you are not a soldier. Your medical research is cutting edge. I and the gentleman I represent have gathered a lot of information about you, and we'd be interested in working together. Think of us as modern patrons. He laughs, as if he found his metaphor enjoyable. Or perhaps he's simply amused by the astonished paleness of your face. You don't need to answer yet, Mr. Huntington. Think about it. You know that every disease has consequences. Some of them go beyond even the deplorable loss of human lives. We are studying a dreadful disease which could soon turn into a pandemic. For this reason, we are looking for people who could really make a difference in dealing with such diseases. People like you. You should not quit, even though I can understand how, after your terrible tragedy. Tragedy? Is he really talking about Helen? He really has done his research on you, because that was no joke. You can't help wondering how he knows so much, especially about Helen. No, let's just keep listening. Let's not play our hand. The man looks at you right in the eye, holding your stare without little uncertainty. Stop playing at soldiers, Jake. It doesn't suit you, and you're wasting your time right when the world needs your brilliant mind. Think about it, Mr. Huntington. We are willing to offer everything you need to help you change the destiny of the whole world. The man waves goodbye to you without granting you the chance to respond, vanishing into the crowd like a ghost. The meeting has left you pensive and distraught. It seems Mayer wants your collaboration, offering you his help, yet there's something about him that doesn't convince you. Too many secrets and oddities. You enlisted to forget Helen and the illness which took her away from you, but your efforts have been in vain. Your wife would have never wanted you to quit your job, yet not being able to save her destroyed your self-confidence and left you consumed by doubt and guilt. Now, it seems the past is trying to reach out to you in some way. Ooh, notes. Oh, no, wrong notes. Ooh, diary. Oh, nope. Oh, it's a strong German accent. Well, I clearly need to improve. Then you remember the message. You'd like to ask Mayor whether he sent that warning. You regret not having thought of it before, but it's too late now. He is already gone. Okay, so maybe I should have pressed reply. Invisible evil. You are at the headquarters during one of the quiet moments granted by training. A man comes up to you, panting heavily, to tell you that you have been summoned to see Smith. Your curiosity piqued, you head to his office. Following the Battle of Zanzibar, you have no idea as to what Smith could want from you now. You soon find yourself in front of Smith, who silently looks you up and down. His eyes freeze you to the spot. After looking at you for what seems like an infinity, the captain clears his throat and looks out towards the windows. The country is in a critical condition, Huntington. A dangerous disease is spreading along the borders of German Africa and British East Africa. He turns his head, barely looking at you, even the German border. Mayor mentioned a disease, an epidemic. Actually, he said pandemic. Is this the same disease he was talking about? You wonder why Smith is so interested in this mysterious outbreak, but you stay silent, waiting for him to continue. I'm going to lead a regiment which is departing now to investigate that area of the country and study the threat. I would like you to be a part of the expedition. You are opening your mouth to answer when Smith turns back towards you and leans his arms on his desk. He's wearing a slightly pained expression. He then starts leafing through a stack of papers, carefully examining them. This time, I need your academic skills more than your soldiering skills. I've read your files. You were a doctor back in London, a very good doctor. I want you to join the expedition to study the disease. This was not what you had expected. Working as a doctor reminds you of the failure which had led you to run off, to enlist, to fight in order to avoid your painful feelings. There's a typo here, missing a word. To avoid your painful feelings. You were unable to save the one person you loved more than anyone else in the world. Oh, QQ. Now, Smith needs your medical skills, and you can't very well disobey his orders. Yet, you are unsure how to proceed. Let's just keep it simple. With pleasure, Captain. The captain gives a hint of smile, barely changing the grave look in his eyes. It's clear, however, that he is relieved to know that you will be with him. Get to the armory. Sergeant Carrick will provide you with the equipment you'll need for the mission. Prepare yourself properly, Huntington. We'll be heading into some dangerous places. As you are walking to the armory, other thoughts gather in your mind. Your past is coming back to you like some kind of threatening shadow cautiously approaching, waiting to pounce on you at the first opportunity. It's all coming back to me. One more mysterious disease to study. And that man, Mayor. You wonder whether this is the same disease or all this is just a
bizarre coincidence. Sergeant Carrig, you met him when you enlisted in London, and you have gradually taken to his scowling face and his harsh and abrupt manner. He is pedantic and excessively dutiful man, but he probably wouldn't have been put in charge of weapons and supplies without these qualities. As always, he stares at you with half-closed eyes as if trying to focus on you. Huntington, what's a pleasure to see you. I didn't know you would be assigned to this mission. I can't believe they'd still trust you with a rifle. He bursts into a brief hoarse laugh at his own bad joke. Let's keep it friendly, why not? Sergeant, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but my aim has improved greatly since we first met. Now I can even hit a moving target. You spend some time chatting with Carrick, who keeps staring at you with that half smile which splits his face into two asymmetric parts. He reminisces about an amusing incident from the past, which was considerably more embarrassing for you than for the sergeant. He appears to be delighted by these cadet memories. After a while, you decide to cut him short so as not to be late for Smith's appointment with the regiment. I'm setting out again, Carrig. One more expedition. Something big's come up. Something big? Is it a promotion, Huntington? You don't have enough scars to play the big veteran yet. The sergeant laughs, but he watches you with a beady eye. He never pushes his mockery too far. You know perfectly well that Carrick likes you, and even took you under his wing to some measure. Well, Smith told me something about it already. It seems he has a thing for you, the captain. If that's the case, you'll need the proper equipment. You're not sure whether Smith is capable of having a thing for anyone or anything, but you don't dispute Carrick's words or even answer him. Carrig takes you to another part of the armory. The room is big, but mostly empty and somewhat abandoned looking. The war at the Sultan's palace must have drained a large portion of the British supplies and provisions. The racks are almost empty, and Carrig only puts two weapons on the table in front of you: a rifle and a pistol. Huntington, you can choose one weapon only. This isn't London. Our resources are limited. You know what? If I'm there as a doctor and I'm there to think rather than shoot, I'll take a pistol instead. He dismantles the weapon and puts it back together with extraordinary familiarity. His movements are quick and precise. The sergeant carefully checks the pistol and hands it over to you, together with some ammunition. Where are you heading, Huntington? Command hasn't told us a damn thing about the mission, and Smith is quieter than a mouse. Carrig pretends not to care, but it's obvious that he's extremely eager to know what's going on. Neither is he subtle. Let's keep it classified. The sergeant seems satisfied with your peremptory answer, aware of the fact that you are merely following the orders given to you, showing the discretion of a good soldier. Yet, you can't help but notice a glint of disappointment in his eyes, as if you had thrown sand onto the fire of his curiosity. I failed an achievement. What? After a brief, awkward silence, Carrig gestures for you to follow him. I mean, what if I press this? Is this just taking me all the way to the beginning, or did it take me to the previous page?
Ah, nope, I can't redo that. Okay. Now, to the storeroom. I've got something for you. You follow your old friend towards a fairly large room, as empty and dirty as the rest of the armory. It reminds you of the jungle where you trained with the rest of the regiment. And perhaps it's just the same humidity sticking your clothes uncomfortably to your body. There are crates scattered here and there, but you can clearly see that the British store of weapons and supplies is running low. This equipment belonged to a doctor who was discharged some years ago. Carrig puts a magnifying glass, some vials, surgical calipers, and a first aid kit onto the counter. Alright, let's take them. Thanks, Carrig. These tools will be very useful. You carefully place the objects in your backpack and thank Carrig for everything. You talk about your time in London together and various other things before you say goodbye and take your leave. Good luck, Jake. The sergeant keeps watching you with his half-closed eyes as you walk away, chuckling to himself as usual. You walk back towards headquarters, tightening your backpack straps as you go. Smith and a small contingent of men are awaiting for you in front of the barracks, ready to depart. Huntington, you're always late. Let's be joyful. I'm happy you're here too. At least we'll have something decent to eat. I can't stand the food here much longer. There's insects in almost everything we're given. Ryan answers with a loud laugh and claps you on the back with all the delicacy of a London bare-knuckle fighter. I don't know how to make anything even remotely edible, I know. I just heard something about this mission, something about a disease. What about you? Have you heard anything? After a moment's consideration, you decide to tell your friend what you know. Let's check our notes first. Items. Okay. Nice. Carrig, alright. Character sheet. We've got 8 points now. Not enough to upgrade any skill. Smith asked me to join this expedition as a doctor. He wants me to study this disease, and I'm afraid this is something serious. The Italian cook nods before his face lights up as he remembers something important. Oh, I almost forgot. O'Bannon should be with us too. As if summoned by some kind of ritual, O'Bannon appears at your side and puts his hand on your shoulder. Look who's here! Dr. Jake and Vespucci, the Golden Ladle. He bursts out laughing, then whispers in your ear. Ooh. I have some really nice bottles with me. It's going to be a good laugh. As usual, everything is a game for him. Somehow, each time O'Bannon opens his mouth, he reminds you of the stupid innocence of youth. Let's support him. It's the last happy moment, possibly. Take it easy with that flask, or sooner or later you have whiskey for blood. If only that were true, Doc. I'd be singing through every day. And at night the good Lord's given us. As if to illustrate the veracity of his words, he starts singing an old Irish drinking song. Despite everything, you feel more relaxed, knowing both of your friends will be part of the mission. You don't really know the other men in the regiment yet. Smith is in front of you smoking his pipe intently. He's holding the hand of a small boy. He looks about 6. Noticing your presence, the captain approaches with the child. Huntington, you haven't met my son yet. This is Scott. He wants to come with us to see all the wild animals, but this mission is too important, isn't it? The child looks up at his father pleadingly, hoping to make him feel guilty. The captain's stern expression melts away as he ruffles his hair paternally.
Another time, Scott.
You say goodbye to Scott, who hides shyly behind his father. Smith yells out at the men.
On the march, men! We have a long road ahead.
Oh, I think I have enough points now. I have 12 points. Nope, still not there yet. What do I want to get next? I feel like I should get observation. Observation and beechcraft. You're back at sea. Since your arrival at in Zanzibar, you haven't had a moment's peace, always being moved from a place to place. Nonetheless, Helen's image is still engraved in your mind. The grief of her loss has torn you up inside. You hear her voice echoing in your head. She calls your name, pleading for your help. Jake! Jake! The horrors of your past still haven't left you, not even here on the other side of the world. Lost in your thoughts, you hadn't noticed that the vessel you're on, which is much smaller than the ship that brought you to Zanzibar and just big enough to contain your squadron, has reached the docking point of a seemingly abandoned village. You don't know what to expect yet, but the idea of confronting the disease that Captain Smith was talking about is putting you on edge. You quickly disembark from the ship and you get in line. Smith examines you, then orders a search of the village. You walk around the hut slowly and watchfully, as if expecting an attack at any moment, despite the village's abandoned appearance. You examine some dwellings and it feels like you're in a horror story. Some beds are still warm, there's still food and water on the table, and abandoned wooden toys and utensils give the impression of recent activity. It looks as if the people here have suddenly vanished, disappeared into thin air. Then you hear something, a sizzle in the air and an unidentifiable smell mixed with that of dying embers. You look and see smoke coming from behind a hut. Your heart skips a beat. Maybe someone is still here. You move closer quickly. You can't stand the creeps this village is giving you. You go round the hut, and there, right in front of you, is the answer to all your questions. And we look at the map first. Oh, Tanzania. Oh, okay. Ugh. The stink is unbearable and forces you to cover your nose with your hand. Flies do a grisly dance around the carbonized corpses, flitting here and there like loose cannons. You stare at the bodies, stunned. Their flesh is covered by the remains of a bonfire, muscle exposed to the sparkling red embers, their carved-up expressions swallowed by ashes. It's a pile of death, black smoke, and buzzing insects. Behind you, you hear someone approaching at a quick pace. You recognize that unmistakable sound and you turn to see Captain Smith. He's clearly worried, although he's trying to hide it from himself and the rest of the men. All the men gaze at the bonfire while a blanket of silence falls upon you. Maybe we should use observation instead of examination. Nice. You move closer to the corpses slowly with some reticence. Despite the chaos, you manage to examine some of them properly, and you can't see any visible wounds. You cannot know how they died only by observation, but this could well be the disease. Is this what Smith had been talking about? That's not a good sign. As far as we know, this village should have been outside the contaminated area. The captain's initial hesitation betrays his concern. Smith pulls out a map from his backpack after having searched it for a few moments and shows it to you. He points to 3 small villages near the rebel camp.
We are near the German border. We have to proceed carefully. There might be enemy soldiers in this area.
You are deciding which village to explore first when a noise emanating from a hut startles you, making you turn instantly with your rifles ready to shoot. Walking slowly and with a terrified expression, a man moves closer with his hands up in the air.
Stop! I am friend. My name is Betsarai. I help.
The man watches you with anxiety, still terrified of being riddled with bullets. His glance moves frantically from one face to another, then it rests on yours. Smith gestures to lower the rifles, and then he steps forward and addresses Betsarai. Or Betsarai. Betsarai? Let's go, Betsarai.
Who did this?
Betsarai moves his eyes away from you, like he woke up from some kind of trance, and follows the Smith's gaze to the pile of charred corpses.
Food? First eat, then help.
Smith snorts, annoyed.
Give him something to eat, he's coming with us. He could be useful.
But Sarai continues smiling, and Ryan gives him a food ration from his personal provisions. Smith's eyes return to his map while he slowly moves over to you. He passes the map to you.
What do you think, Huntington? Where should we start from?
It is clear Smith has full confidence in your judgment. Your role in this mission is of primary importance. Okay. How many points do I have now? 18. North, west, or south? I don't even know where we came from. Let's go north. Why not? Oh my. You reach the village, which has its borders delimited within its huts. The air is gloomy and almost solemn, and a group of people, men and women, are swaying from side to side and singing in the middle of a rural square, as if bewitched by a spell. Smith gestures for Betsarai to go and talk to them. The reek of death meets your nostrils. The interpreter approaches one of the men standing in a circle. They speak softly for a moment. The man listens and nods. When Betsarai comes back, Smith asks him what's happening.
A funeral.
The men are gathered around a bonfire, and the whole village is covered by a thin shroud of ash. Some corpses must have been burned here too. You suppose the camp survivors you previously reached went directly to these groups of huts. You can see dead bodies wrapped up in sheets being taken from a hut nearby to the bonfire. The fire is about to be lit once more. You have to prevent those bodies from being burnt at all costs if you want to know more about the disease. It may be your only chance, examining still fresh corpses before the natural process of decomposition makes it impossible to identify any distinguishing features of the disease. Let's ask Betsarai to stop the ritual, because he can probably discuss about it. Betsarai exchanges some words with the villagers, who seem confused and shocked. They are not persuaded by the interpreter's words, or maybe they just don't understand why one would want to examine corpses. You approach the bonfire without hesitation and start to examine the bodies. The villagers make no attempts to stop you, and they seem engrossed by something else. One whispers fearfully to a fellow villager and steps backwards for no apparent reason. You are not sure what Betsarai has told them, but he must have been very convincing. You put such thoughts out of your mind and go on with the examination. There are abrasions on the bodies, but no wounds. The eyes of the corpses are bloodshot, and after taking a better look, you realize that these men have probably suffered several hemorrhages. The abrasions must have been what is left of their infected sores. Let's use the magnifying glass. You approach one of the bodies, pulling out your magnifying glass from your backpack. You bring the magnifying glass near to the corpse and attempt to find something, inspecting each sore and every wound. Even the tiniest of clues could help you understand something about the nature of the disease. Brushing the hair away, you find something on the nape of the neck of one of the corpses. You carefully aim the magnifying glass. There are some other marks really close to one another. They look like some kind of insect bite or sting. You can feel a swelling with your fingertips and a peculiar, unnatural shape, precise and geometric. Too geometric to have been left by an insect. The various marks form a diamond enclosing a circle. Hey, this sounds familiar. It could be this mysterious tattoo. Maybe not quite. Or maybe, I mean, this is the eye, right? See that? That's the eye, and okay, anyway. You examine another body, looking for the same signs. The magnifying glass is really useful this time too, allowing you to verify the presence of the unique marks once again. Ooh, do I have, how many experience points? 22. Well, I can improve my agility, or I can improve my medicine. Or my fighting. Let's improve our speechcraft over time. The dead cannot tell you anything more. You move away from the bonfire and you signal to Betsarai, who immediately says something to the villagers. The ritual restarts as though you had never interrupted it, with the people dancing and chanting. You have only taken a few steps away when you hear the crackle of the fire from behind you. The flames are rising up, consuming both wood and rotting cadavers. You respectfully stay silent to observe the ritual, watching the bodies burning and shriveling on the bonfire. The funeral chant is bewitching. They are singing a dirge which seems to come from another world. For a moment, you are enchanted and mesmerized. A shout puts a sudden stop to the chanting. A woman emerges from a hut screaming and tries to throw herself onto the bonfire. The villagers manage to stop her before she can reach the flames. The woman, weak with despair, is carried away and taken to a corner. Some men keep an eye on her to prevent her from attempting to reach the bonfire again. Her whimpers are uneven, interrupted by her weeping and shaking. You signal to Betsarai to follow you while you approach her. She has now taken on a fetal position and is rocking back and forth. The woman keeps shaking and talking nonsense for a few moments, but Betsarai's words seem to work. She raises her tear-stained face, stops her nonsensical muttering, and begins answering the interpreter's questions. What is she saying? She wants to run, escape. You raise an eyebrow, wondering whether Betsarai speaks the same dialect as the woman. It's clear she didn't want to run. She wanted to kill herself. Maybe the interpreter is making fun of you, or the woman is talking nonsense again. You go back to observing the villagers' ritual. Their funeral chants and dances have resumed around the bonfire, and they look as though they are under the effects of some kind of hallucinogenic drug. Betsarai continues to keep an eye on the woman who, meanwhile, seems to have calmed down completely. He's talking to her, probably trying to figure out more about the situation. Suddenly, you hear a loud thud behind you, and when you turn, you see the interpreter pushed to the ground by the woman, who nimbly avoids you and sprints toward the bonfire. This time, the villagers are too focused on their ritual, and they notice the running figure too late. She's enveloped by the flames. The groaning cries of the people are silenced by the screams coming from the bonfire. It's an agonizing and inhuman wailing on the face of which no action can be undertaken but horrified staring. Everyone watches the dark shape of the woman fading in the roaring fire, her features horribly disfigured by the bright white flames. The ritual is nearly over and the flames are dying. Nobody wants to get close to the ashes and human bones, probably afraid of seeing the remains of the suicidal woman. Your comrades are fearfully murmuring. They want to retreat. I've never heard such screaming. There's a first time for everything, Huntington. Screams of pain are always dreadful. It's hard enough to hear them when it's you doing the killing, but these... they get into your mind and never leave. After a short silence, you and the men move on from the village to your next destination. The agonized yelling of that woman is still echoing in your mind. Upon entering the village, you immediately feel a welcoming atmosphere. Smith is relieved when he sees men and women moving peacefully among the huts. Two of them approach you. It's the shaman with his daughter. You speak our language? The girl smiles. She answers affirmatively and says she often deals with the British, who have decided to call her Lorraine for ease. If you need to rest, you can stay here for the night. Smith looks at his men, and after a moment, he nods, accepting the offer. Some rest will be good for you all. When evening falls and the men have organized themselves for the night, a big bonfire is lit in the middle of the village. O'Bannon sings a song and pulls out a bottle of whiskey, sharing it with the others. Ryan's dinner has refreshed you, and you can finally enjoy a moment of quiet. The shaman moves closer and asks Smith to follow him. He wants him to go out to his hut. The captain watches the man with a grim look on his face and with the bonfire's flame reflected in the lenses of his glasses. Then he stands, without saying a word, and follows the shaman to a hut that is bigger than the others. You notice that Lorraine, however, is moving away from the village. I don't know. You shouldn't follow a woman all by yourself, but also suspicious that she's going away. The girl goes deep into the greenery. In the starlight, you see her looking for some herbs, choosing and picking some of them up from the ground, and then put them into some kind of woven basket. Want to observe or just ask? I think if we get too close, we might get stabbed. Let's ask. The girl jumps up and instinctively leaps behind a tree, dropping the basket in the process. You are embarrassed and you apologize, then you pick up the basket and pass it to her. I'm sorry, it's me, Jake. Lorraine relaxes, smiles, and starts to explain she's looking for some particular herbs. She needs them to prepare a concoction to protect the villagers Her words definitely intrigue you. Is this concoction connected to the disease? Let's let her talk. Lorraine hesitates for a few seconds. Then she seems to open up and starts talking about a mysterious disease. Some weeks earlier, a sick man arrived at the village, hallucinating and delirious. Believing he had been afflicted by some sort of curse, Lorraine gave him the medicine, hoping to defeat the evil that was distressing the man. Within a couple of hours, the man had calmed down, and then his sores healed in one night. The concoction saved both his body and mind, although he remembers almost nothing about his journey before the village. Since then, rumors of the disease have been frequently heard, although none of the villagers have become sick. Lorraine prepares the concoction for each man, woman, and child in the village day after day. It has become her role to protect the village so that the disease never touches her loved ones, her family, and community. Why are you doing this and not your father? Isn't he the shaman? A glimmer of sadness passes over the girl's eyes. Because he won't be shaman forever, and I'll have to take his place, and he says that time is soon to come. You realize you have touched a very sensitive topic, and you instinctively put your hand on her shoulder to comfort her. Lorraine looks at you straight in the eye as though she is attempting to locate something deep inside you. Her pupils dilate, even in the distance. You experience a thrill. How long has it been since a woman looked at you like that? I don't know. I don't think you should put your hand on someone's shoulder randomly like that, but anyway. You deal with diseases too, right? You nod. You cannot stop staring at her. The sounds of the night gather around you. The rain seems closer and closer, and then instinctively you feel yourself moving towards her. I was a doctor before joining the army. Lorraine hesitates for an instant, and then she smiles and turns. She goes back to gathering the needed herbs for the concoction. Lorraine gestures for you to follow her, bringing you to her hut. She sets a little fire and prepares some clay bowls, showing you how to prepare the concoction. You watch each of her movements while she mixes what's left of the plant with some liquids, boiling it and then filtering the mixture multiple times. The concoction is ready. With the approval of Lorraine, you pour some of the concoction into a vial, storing it with great care, slipping it inside your backpack, and then you drink a spoonful. You leave the hut and join your companions around the fire. You join O'Bannon's new drinking game. He already seems too drunk to understand that it's time to stop. Soon enough, his whiskey gets you all fairly drunk, and you find yourself staring at the swaying heads of your comrades. The Irishman seems unstoppable, and he continues singing cheerfully, just as Lorraine approaches each of you with a big clay bowl. It holds the concoction she has prepared, and she offers it to you and all the soldiers. Lost in the effects of alcohol, you all accept the offer to drink the mysterious liquid. Then you drink more whiskey to take away the awful taste of the concoction. The world around you starts to cloud, colors slowly blur, starting to light up more and more, while the shapes of the objects and of your comrades melt into weird, incomprehensible fractals. You don't know whether it's O'Bannon's whiskey or Lorraine's pungent mixture, but at some point you don't know whether you're awake or already dreaming. Lorraine walks up to you with her light steps. Jake, come with me. I want to show you one more thing about our medicine. Lorraine takes your hand softly. You feel a thrill. Sure, let's follow her. Why not? While you follow her, Lorraine's shoulders seem to stiffen as she walks. Her steps become less and less steady, and she turns to look at you. You feel her tension. You You seem upset. Is something bothering you? Lorraine moves on the spot. She seems uncertain, as if she doesn't know what she wants to show you anymore, or maybe she just made up an excuse to take you inside her hut.
Jake, there are moments I am really terrified. If it wasn't for our medicine, I wouldn't know what to do. The village relies on me, and I'm not sure I can fight against this evil.
Instinctively, you feel the desire to drive her fear away, and without thought, you close your arms around her, bringing her closer to you. After a few seconds of embarrassment, Lorraine returns the hug. How many months have passed since you've been close to a woman? The girl brings you to the foot of her bed. She slowly starts to undress, letting her clothes fall to the ground. Oh my, I had no idea this game was going to be like this. Her face disappears for an instant, hidden behind the poor fabric of her dress, but when it reappears from beneath her garments, it seems that Lorraine now has Helen's face. Whoa, this is witchcraft! You better get the heck out of there! Nope. It's time to say goodbye. Time to peace out. The thought of Helen struck you like an apparition. You have not been with a woman since her, but what stops you is precisely that image. How can you think of pushing yourself further when your wife's image is still so present in your mind? You sleep in the camp under the open sky. When you awaken, the first thing that welcomes you is a violent and painful headache. You stagger to your feet, grumbling, incoherently muttering and stretching. The rest of the regiment is already having breakfast. You failed an achievement. Let me guess. The achievement is to get it on with Lorraine. Let's see what it was. A night of love. Ah ha 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 ha. Yes, okay. Well, I think it was still a good choice. But we'll find out. You see the bottles of whiskey scattered on the ground. You don't remember much about what happened last night. You join the men and start eating too. You're talking to Ryan while you eat some delicious bacon prepared by the Italian when Smith approaches. It's time to go. The men get ready and the captain talks to you. Did you find out anything about the disease? Lorraine gave me a concoction which may hinder the effects of the disease or even heal an infected person, but it needs to be tested to make sure it works. Some good news, finally. I managed to talk with a shaman, and he told me some men in tunics have crossed the border. Everyone in the nearby village is talking about it. They may be involved with the disease. We need to be careful. Right, and the next village is South Village. And I feel like we'll return to this at a later time. For now, we're going to hold it here. And the next time we return to this, we will check out the South Village. But for now, thank you for joining Games and Gutenberg, where we were going through Omen Exitio, Plague, which you can pick up through an affiliate link on Fanatical. You can also pick it up at Steam. But for now, thank you for joining tonight, and we will catch you at the next one. Have a great rest of the evening and a great rest of the week. Bye-bye now.